Hey guys, this video is long overdue. It's time for another retro review. This is the video series here on YouTube where I review the Coliseum home videos voted upon by you, the fans. And of course, the video that gets the most votes is the retro review. Now, of course, none of these videotapes can be found in stores anywhere anymore, but the best way to find these videos are on such places like eBay and Amazon. And the purpose of these reviews is to persuade you to either buy the videotape to go after to add to your permanent collection, or to just skip it. Now, in this round of voting, we actually had a three-way tie. So, in the event of a tie, I get the final vote, which, to be honest, I sort of like that rule. So, with that said, today's review, Hulkamania 2, or, as it states in the beginning of the video, Hulkamania 2, the saga continues. Hosted by Gene Okerlund, Gene mentions that in this videotape, at the time of its release, Hulk Hogan has been World Wrestling Federation Champion for 3 years. And he goes through the many opponents that Hulk Hogan will be facing throughout this videotape. So, let's jump right into this review. The first match is a tag team match that was held a couple of weeks after WrestleMania 2. Hulk Hogan and Hulk Hogan and Hillbilly Jim, against Big John Studd and King Kong Bundy. Now, this is going to be a theme throughout this video, is that we will see a lot of King Kong Bundy and Big John Studd on this tape. Now, Hillbilly Jim starts the match with Big John Studd and attempts to body slam him to claim the $15,000, but he can't do it. But when Hulk gets in the ring, he does body slam Big John Studd and King Kong Bundy, and he does, well, allegedly he's going to get the $15,000 from Bobby Heenan, but come on, we know he ain't going to pay up. So we move forward to the end of this match, and all four men are in the ring, and Bundy makes a mistake where he accidentally hits his own partner. Hogan hits the leg drop on Studd, and he's about to get the 3 count when Bobby Heenan jumps right into the ring and attacks Hulk Hogan to break up the pin, thus ending the match, and Hogan and Hillbilly Jim win the match via disqualification. So we stay with King Kong Bundy as he challenges Hulk Hogan for the WWF title. But this match is long before their steel cage encounter at WrestleMania 2. This match took place in the Boston Garden in late 1985, and it's very interesting because the referee for this match is Dave Hebner, one of the early times that we do see one of the Hebners on any of the Coliseum home videos. Now, something to point out in this match is Bobby Heenan is not at ringside for this match. He does the entrance with Bundy, but then he walks and goes to the back. So it's a back and forth match, and Bundy does get an advantage on Hogan, and at one point, and I found this commentary to be very interesting, Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon are each saying what Bundy should do, because he has Hogan in a chin lock, a rear chin lock, and Ventura is suggesting to keep it on, to keep the weight down, but Gorilla is like, no, you shouldn't do that, you're going to waste all your energy. So we get to the end of the match. King Kong Bundy hits the avalanche on Hogan, and then the big splash. He gets a 1, 2, Hogan kicks out. So then Hogan is sent to the corner again. Bundy hits the avalanche on Hogan again, but it doesn't faze the Hulkster. So Hulk gets riled up. He punches Bundy a couple of times. He sends Bundy into the corner. Bundy comes back to him. Hogan hits him with a body slam. 1, 2, 3. Hogan wins and retains the title. However, Jesse Ventura disputes that count. He thought that Bundy had his shoulder up. So we go to the replay. Hogan hits the body slam on Bundy. 1, 2, and Ventura tries to make his argument that Bundy's shoulder just got up before the 3, and honestly it didn't, but Ventura doing a good job as a heel commentator, and Hogan retains the title. So now we go to our next match. We stay in the Boston Garden, where it is now Macho Man Randy Savage, at this time the Intercontinental Champion, challenging Hulk Hogan for the title. Very interesting to point out, Danny Davis is the referee here. And this is before the angle where Danny Davis is the heel referee. So, Savage gets the sneak attack in early, goes after Hogan, but Hogan does make a comeback. Now, Elizabeth here in this match, it's a very odd thing because Elizabeth is on the apron and Danny Davis is trying to get her off to get her to stay on the floor. Eventually, the referee sends Elizabeth to the back, which is a very odd thing because, I mean, let's be honest, Elizabeth, back in the day, she didn't really do much as far as, distracting, trying to help, her man. But this was a very weird thing to see. So we have a good match, and the end of the match is Hogan hits the leg drop on Savage. He gets the 1, 2, 3. Hogan retains the title. After the match, a woman from the stands comes in and attacks Hogan. Well, it's not a woman. It's adorable Adrian Adonis. So Adonis and Savage go after Hogan, and they're trying to double team him, and they're trying to put him out. Well, Hogan gets back up. He sends Savage out to the floor, then grabs Adonis, and he manages to grab Adonis by his shirt and to reveal that Adrian Adonis had a bra on. But it was a good job. I thought it was a real good job. Good job by Adonis. And you gotta notice when you watch this match, if you do, you could see someone sitting in the front row, straw hat, blue dress on, but you couldn't tell it was Adonis. You couldn't tell it was. So they did a good job on that one. So now we go into the flower shop, where Adonis interviews Hogan and Paul Orndorff. And Adrian Adonis brings up the fact that Hulk Hogan missed a phone call that Paul Orndorff made. And that Stud and Bundy had put a challenge out to both men. And Hogan accepts the tag team match. But Orndorff says, no, we're not going to do it yet. Because they had a match, or he had a contract signed for the next week to face the Moondogs, and then 2 weeks, or the week after that, they'll face Bundy and Stud. And Hogan's like, I like that decision. Give us a warm-up match before we get to Stud and Bundy. So now we go to the tag team match, Stud and Bundy against Hogan and Orndorff. Now we go to the back, and Hogan is still talking to Orndorff about the whole phone call thing, and he tells him to let it go. And we got to take care of business in the ring. So Hogan and Orndorff come out, standing ovation, crowds cheering them, and we get to this tag team match. Well, Orndorff starts the match with Big John Studd, and Orndorff is on fire. He attempts to body slam Big John Studd, but he just can't do it. So Hogan gets tagged into the ring, and Hogan does eventually body slam Big John Studd again to get the $15,000. And while the fans are happy, Orndorff is over in the corner. He's irate that Hogan body slammed Studd. So we get later into the match, and Hogan accidentally hits Orndorff that knocks him down to the floor, and Bundy and Studd have a 2-on-1 advantage on Hogan for quite some time. Eventually, Hogan does recover and makes the tag to Orndorff, and Orndorff is a house of fire. He goes after Bundy and Studd, so they clear the ring. So Hogan and Orndorff are in the ring together, and then we get one of the big moments of the 80s in wrestling. Orndorff holds the hand of Hogan, holding it up, and then he clotheslines Hogan, and thus begins the Great Betrayal, as Orndorff picks up Hogan and he gives him a pile driver in the middle of the ring, to the shock of the crowd, but to the happiness of Bundy and Studd and Heenan. So they attack Hogan until a group of men, which includes Mike Rotundo, Danny Spivey, King Tonga, and CV Offey, make the save. So the cameras go to the back, and who should be there waiting for them but Adrian Adonis and Jimmy Hart. And they're proud, they're happy that this went perfectly, and they start a wonderful chant in the back, and thus begins Pro Wrestling Illustrated's 1986 Feud of the Year. So we then fast forward to Saturday night's main event and the famous cage match. Now, of course, for those of you who remember, I have reviewed in the past Saturday night's main event's greatest hits. This match was on that tape. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you guys go back and watch that review. But I will review this match again because this is a fun cage match. And at the time, it was such a big ratings deal for WWF that Hogan and Orndorff, the confrontation ends in the cage. It's a fun match, a lot of fun moments, especially the first ending, the controversial ending where both men hit the floor at the same time. Joey Morello raises Hogan's hand, but Danny Davis raises Orndorff's hand as the winner. And it's just a fun match, really good, a very good end, I think, to the Hogan-Orndorff feud. And if you think back, it sort of does deserve to have won the award for Feud of the Year for 1986. So now we go back to 1985, where Hulk Hogan defends the title, this time against Brutus Beefcake, where he is managed by luscious Johnny Valiant. And this is an interesting match because this is one of the rare times in the WWF where both Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake fought against each other. So, they each get in a couple of power moves, and then, as they go for a hookup, Beefcake fakes Hogan out and does his little strut. So he psychs Hogan out. So then they again get ready to tie up, and this time, while Beefcake does his strut, Hulk Hogan does his little strut, and it irates Beefcake. This is a good match, and it definitely shows at this time that Beefcake could be a main event guy. I mean, not right away he's a main event guy, but it does show that he has the potential to be a main event worthy talent. So the end of the match, Johnny V holds Hogan up. Beefcake runs to the rope, and he's going to give him the high knee, but Hogan moves out of the way. He hits Valiant by accident. Hogan rolls him up with a schoolboy. 1, 2, 3. Hulk Hogan retains the title. Now we go to this tag. We go to this tag team match where Randy Savage and Adrian Adonis, remember earlier in the video they attacked Hogan in the Boston Garden. They face Hulk Hogan and his partner George the Animal Steele. So Hogan comes out, no shirt on, and he does all the George Steele, moves. And George Steele comes out with, the American-made T-shirt on him. So both men, all four go right at it right at the beginning, and Savage and Adonis get thrown out. And then Steele rips his shirt off in a funny, weird way. I can't really quite explain it. And then Hogan goes after a turnbuckle, and he eats the turnbuckle, and Steele does the same thing. This is an entertaining match, especially with a guy like George Steele, who, as a face, was very much well-loved and didn't get as much, main event opportunities as I think he probably should have, just because of the gimmick that he had, but it was fun to watch. So, it's a good back and forth match between all four of these guys, and in the end, Hogan and Steele do get the win on Savage and Adonis. So now we go to Hulk Hogan, defending his title for the last time on this tape, I should say, going up against Kamala. Now, this is a very different match from a lot of these matches that we've seen because Kamala is accompanied by the Grand Wizard and Kim Chi. So Hogan is having to deal with both Kim Chi and the Grand Wizard at the same time. And Kamala goes right after Hogan. He's going after him. And it's I think of all the matches here, as far as the title matches go, Kamala may have been the best one because he's so unorthodox at this time, and you really can't tell what he's going to be able to do. So, Kamala does get the advantage, but Hogan does come back, and, he tries to win it, but the Grand Wizard gets involved, and he hits Hogan with his horn, and Kamala grabs the horn, and he hits Hogan, and the referee sees it. The referee calls for the bell, and Hogan does win on a disqualification, and he chases all three men away from the arena. And then we get to our final match, a six-man tag team match. Big John Studd again, King Kong Bundy again, and Bobby Heenan putting on the tights. They face the Big Machine, the Super Machine, and the Hulk Machine. Gotta like that. This a fun six-man tag match, because at the time the Machines had a feud with Bundy and Studd, and every once in a while for the six-man tag, they would get a special machine. Sometimes it could be the Giant Machine. Sometimes it could be the Piper Machine. Well, in this case, it's the Hulk Machine. And it's just a fun match. It really is. And I love the ending of the match. Because King Kong Bundy hits the big splash on the Super Machine. Now, Super Machine is over near the ropes. Not quite to the corner, but almost near the ropes. So, Bundy, instead of going for the pin, goes up to Big John Studd, and the referee considers that a tag. Meanwhile, Hulk Machine comes in, switches with Super Machine, and he lays down as if he's unconscious. Bundy and Studd never saw this. Studd comes in, he grabs who he thinks is Super Machine, but in fact is Hulk Machine, and Hulk Machine surprises Studd, gets a body slam again, so Hogan is owed $45,000 in this videotape, and he hits the leg drop on Big John Studd, and he gets the 3 count, and the Machines win the six-man tag, and that ends Hulkamania 2. So what are my thoughts on this tape? Well, if you remember way back in the beginning of this series when I reviewed Hulkamania, I wasn't much of a fan of that videotape. Here you could tell that they really have improved on this one as far as match selection goes and the length of the time of the video. Where in the first Hulkamania video was not even an hour and a half. This video is just about over 2 hours worth of action. There's no interviews in there, studio interviews, and it's just Hulk Hogan at his best at this point in time. Plus you have 2 key moments, if you think about it, of that time frame. The Orndorff heel turn on Hogan and the steel cage match from Saturday night's main event. Plus, you do get to see Hogan and Bundy before WrestleMania 2. You get the early stages of Hogan and Savage. You get Beefcake as a challenger. You get Kamala as a challenger. Plus, to add to all of that, you have this special 6-man tag to end the videotape. So, if you are a die-hard Hulk Hogan fan, or if you're just a fan of 80s WWF action, then I definitely recommend you guys get Hulkamania 2. Now, usually what I do at the end of a particular series is, if I've done all 3 videos in that released series, I will rank all 3 videos, gold, silver, bronze. So, since I've done all 3 videos in the 10th series of this, I'm going to rank them. The bronze medal, I'm going to have to give it to the Best of the WWF Volume 10. I really was not that big of a fan. There was probably 1 or 2 good matches. The other are all passable. The silver medal has to go to Grand Slams. I was actually surprised when watching that tape, or rewatching the tape again, how good that tape actually was. Even though it was pretty much a best of, a highlight package of 90 minutes, it was still a good video. And I gotta give the gold medal on this series to Hulkamania 2. It was just so good from beginning to end. Not one boring moment in the series, not one boring moment on the tape, and it was just done really, really well. Well, folks, on that note, that is going to end this edition of the Retro Review. Stay tuned in the upcoming days for your opportunity to vote on the next Retro Review video. I am Wrestling Man, and there's no place like home. Coliseum Home Video. Goodbye, everybody.